Good day, fellow geeks. On this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth, we're going to be talking about Paragon, a special Hearthstone announcement, and some WoW rumors. All that and more in this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth. By geeks.
About geeks. For geeks.
Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth!
Hello, welcome to Geeks of Azeroth. Sorry for those of you who tuned in right at the beginning and my microphone was yet again not working, but I recognized the issue early this time. My name is Tarley, and with me, as always, I've got Big Voodoo and Britzza. Big Voodoo's been away for a while, so we'll start with you. How have you been, my friend?
Busy. I've been working pretty much every day for the past 2 weeks, which is why I wasn't here. That and being in California kind of hurt that too. But
Did you find Zool while you were there?
I did not. However, I did actually kind of stay up on gaming a little bit. Not well, but I watched IEM while I was down there, so I wasn't entirely devoid of gaming. Just mostly.
You got cold turkey.
And how about you, Britzza? How have you been over the past few weeks?
No, I tell you what, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating the story, but work has completely tanked me as of late because I kind of study as part of my job. I had my head in books for the last 2 weeks, which I don't have to do anymore. So I feel like a phoenix, or I don't know. Did you quote Katy Perry before we went live?
Yes, I did.
Because I've now got Katy Perry lyrics in my head.
You are a firework, Britzza.
That's it. I am a firework. We are all special fireworks in our own way. Just waiting to spontaneously combust. But yeah, no, gaming-wise, I guess the main things for me, just ticking over with heroes. I'm trying to just build up the goal to buy Zool rather than actually, and that's get heroes Zool, not these are Zool. Well, I imagine he has a price of gold somewhere. And then otherwise, I'm just trying to level my DK up. I've decided that literally my capacity for current Warlord stuff is gone. I can't do any more garrisons. I just can't. So I'm just going to try and level as many characters as I can between now and Legion, and just see how that goes for me. So next one's DK.
There you go.
And I've just started the Pandaria stuff, so it's not far to go. What about you?
I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, yeah. I've gotten to the point with Overwatch where it's just, I've lost the hype for it. I still love the game, but now it's just another game that I play. It's very good, and I just wish other people had it so I could actually play it with friends.
It's not long. It still says spring 2016 in game stores where we are. We need a date. We need a date.
Yeah. Otherwise, I've been getting back into StarCraft again a little bit, playing random, and it's just rough, but enjoyable anyway. All right, so should we move on to the first segment of the show? It's time for News of the Week.
Hey, we recording? Yeah? Okay.
News of the Week. That's right, it's time for News of the Week, and I actually did have sounders prepared this week. We are just fully back on track as a show.
It's all because I'm back.
You are the cornerstone of this show.
So, first off in News of the Week, or news of the last couple weeks, Paragon is calling it quits on raiding. Paragon has been one of the leading world first raid groups that has existed over the competitive scene for since Wrath of the Lich King, I believe, is when they got started. And they're finally calling it quits. This does not show good signs for the competitive raiding scene in World of Warcraft, as we have seen several of these guilds break apart over the last few months. What do you guys make of this?
Exactly.
That was my first reaction to reading about it. Just la 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 la.
That probably does not my reaction. It's sad. It is, because I think the thing that hit me hardest wasn't that the raid scene's changing. It's that these guys have kind of been a presence in WoW for so long, and the fact that it's the end of a chapter, I don't know, it kind of brings about that sort of end of a chapter feeling to WoW, which it doesn't need to be because we're going into a new expansion. Yeah. So it's the beginning of a new chapter, but yeah, it kind of feels a bit sad because it feels like people are leaving. Yeah.
I feel like competitive WoW really is on the decline. I wouldn't say like WoW is a dying game because, well, it's WoW. It's going to be there for a long time still, unless they really botch an expansion. But yeah, competitive WoW. Like, I don't feel like there's nearly as many people willing to sink the time that you have to be competitive at a game like that into WoW anymore.
And plus, you think about what games are sort of replacing it. Like, again, we've talked about how people who play one Blizzard game tend to play others, and competitive play is much better catered for in games like Heroes and Overwatch, and they're kind of the new flashy things that, you know, at the end of the day, Paragon's an international gaming community. They want to be number one at more than one game, and you know, I think WoW's they've done that. They've done that, and they've been there. So if they want to stay ahead of the curve, they're going to have to try and sort of stretch out and try new things, and that doesn't probably leave a lot of time for WoW, which is probably the story of most WoW subscribers at the moment. Just not having enough time and being able to focus on WoW.
Yeah. Yeah, and I lost my train of thought there. I agree with both of you. That's strange.
The important thing to remember is they considered us a threat, and they've got out the way for us to take forward first.
That being said, you, myself, Big Voodoo, and even Zool, the four of us, are going to do better than any other raid team. We are going to conquer Mythic raiding, just the four of us, no others. Because we're all just going to play 4 DKs.
No, 4 Demon Hunters. You know they're going to be broken at launch.
Okay, yes, 4 Demon Hunters. And that is how we will win. Method, I know you're watching. I'm coming for you.
Do you think anyone... I mean, if we think about the sort of main competitors that could sort of take their place, or do you think, I guess overall, do you think that just as one team gets out of the way, do you not think it just gets replaced by another? So it's not really a big issue at the end of the day.
Because there's always been like at least 10 guilds that have been really close to how quickly they complete the raid, so one will just take Paragon's spot easily. So.
And it's going to be us.
Exactly. So moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about Overwatch. Just something that I've been noticing as I play the game is it is constantly being patched. It seems like at least once, if not twice a week now, they are doing major balance changes to almost all the heroes. So we even saw one patch that was so broken earlier this week that once you reached the second spawn point, you couldn't leave the spawn point. And you just had to
move out.
You had to wait till the time expired. Blizzard patched that very quickly, but man, that was frustrating. We've seen a lot of other
There's
glitchy
a reason
patches.
It is beta, right?
Exactly. But we're just seeing these patches much more and more often, and I'm starting to think that the beta or the game is getting a lot closer to release. I don't think June is their targeted release. I would say May would be when we're seeing the game at this point.
Okay.
And they are actually weekly adding people to the game now. And Jeff Kaplan, the senior designer on the game, has come out and said how disappointed he was by the reaction to the beta, saying that they should have called it an alpha. That just because of what other companies are doing right now, that a beta really isn't a beta anymore. It's now a demo. And that's what people were expecting when Overwatch came out.
That's fair.
Yeah. The problem is, though, is that you can't have... I just think demo culture is just dangerous. You know, you had that with previous gen consoles, and PC games.
Tom Clancy's Division is like the most recent example I can think is open beta, where it was just like the first 2 missions of the game and then a big prompt saying buy the game afterwards. Like that was what we used to call demos like 5 years ago.
Or my brain's going a bit dead. No, I can't think of it. I'll think of it in a second. But I think the important thing to remember is this is something entirely new for Blizzard. So, you know, of course they're going to have to really think about how this game's working, because they've never done an arena FPS sort of MOBA before.
I don't think anybody really has.
No, exactly. So, you know, they're going to have to really make sure it's fine-tuned and put it out there in the community to test it, because you could, if you released a demo and it was just, is it good or is it bad, it's bound to get more negative criticism than anything else. So, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to why people would have expected a demo for this particular game. Maybe others, or, you know, anything else, but not this. This is something fresh. Blizzard's never done it before. They need to really sort of think about it and work on it.
So I don't know about Blizzard never having done it before. I mean, granted, FPS is kind of a new field, but everything else, like in terms of mechanics, hero mechanics, all of that, that's not anything new to Blizzard. And Blizzard and Activision are one company now, and Activision pretty much exists because of a first-person shooter. So I feel like they should have the talent they need.
Fair point. Yep. I guess if you've got Call of Duty backing you up, you should kind of know how these things work.
Yeah. And then, hero mechanics, that's Blizzard's, like, tried and true thing that they do. Yeah. From Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, Heroes now. Like, hero mechanics are nothing that they haven't done before.
Yeah.
Is this though because... Sorry, Tarley, go on.
I'm just saying it's just so interesting to see how often they're changing things. Like, it just kind of seems like they can't get the game tuned just right. And obviously, it's beta, that's what this is meant for, but it's just so interesting to see how dramatically it's changing back and forth to some certain things.
Out of
Bastion and
curiosity,
Torbjorn are very big examples of this.
Do you think it would be easier for them to balance if they would have created kind of a competitive scene for it already? Kind of like they did with Heroes of the Dorm for Heroes?
Well, Heroes of the Dorm was when the game was out, wasn't it?
No.
Originally.
It was before it was even technically released. I mean, it was pretty much out because it was Heroes, but it was still technically beta.
Well, they, in a sense, they did that by giving a lot of, like, CSGO players and Call of Duty players who play professionally, a lot of them are in the beta. So I think, they've already done that to an extent, but just not making it big in public like they did with Heroes of the Storm.
Do you think the fact that this is also a console release has sort of impacted why people would expect a demo? Because you don't generally get... Unless I'm completely mistaken, I've never seen alpha or beta style access in a console game before.
Well, like they did it with Star Wars Battlefront, for example, but again, that was more of a weekend demo kind of a thing, more than it was actually a beta. But that is actually something I would actually expect to still see out of out of Overwatch in the next coming month or so, as we get closer, because they're gonna. I would assume they'd want to test their servers for the consoles, so I would expect something like that.
That would be a cool way to do it, actually. Just before release the demo, stress test the servers,
and they might as well just invite as many people as they can. Like, open beta weekend would be pretty cool. Like, get some of the hate off their back for not inviting as many people as they could,
or me.
Or specifically Big Voodoo. That's why the whole community is in uproar, is because Big Voodoo didn't get in.
That's exactly it.
I'm still not in. I saw the tweet that said we're going to release more accounts, and I knew it wasn't going to be me, and lo and behold, it's not me. So you're still in good company, Big Voodoo.
I was terrified that it was going to be me, because that tweet came out like halfway between my stretch in California, so I'm like, great, I'm going to get beta access and then not be able to play it.
That would suck, 'cause that would mean 3 people have access to the game and only 1 person actually has the time to play it.
Alright, so moving on from Overwatch into the special Hearthstone announcement at the Winter Championship. Britzza, you want to take over this, because I know nothing about it.
Sure thing. So the Hearthstone Championship winter season is coming to an end, and the beginning of that is the Americas Championship final, which is kicking off next weekend. And the interesting thing is that during that weekend, particularly on March the 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I presume, there is going to be an announcement on Twitch, and I guess what other streaming services they're using. So that's coming. However, I think I'll pass over to Big Voodoo, because he's the one who came across the rumour and probably knows a bit more about it than I do.
So, people are pretty confident that it's a new set at this point, especially with their announcement of how they're changing formats in Hearthstone. They said they wanted to release a new set here pretty soon. But the rumor I stumbled upon is suggesting that this new set may be an Old God-based expansion, going under the name of Whispers of the Old Gods, which sounds pretty fantastic.
It does. I just kind of wonder if that would allude to a WoW expansion too. If they go Old God Hearthstone, Old God WoW.
I don't know, because the WoW expansions have the Hearthstone expansions have typically followed WoW up to this point. They've kind of been catching up on lore in a lot of ways.
Right,
so
yeah.
But no, you're right. That'd be the first time that, in a sense, Hearthstone has dictated the next WoW expansion.
But I mean, with Hearthstone's how quickly they do things, it wouldn't really time up with Blizzard's schedule of announcing things either. So disregard my theory. That's probably very unlikely.
They'll probably have another like 2 or 3 expansions before the next WoW's released or announced, I guess.
Which there's theories about that we'll discuss in a moment. But yeah, Hearthstone, I love, even though I don't really play Hearthstone much, I just love to see how much love that game gets. 60 plus million people, I think, playing Hearthstone, something like that. Some ridiculous number.
Well, even if you don't play it, you can't deny Hearthstone's just a really good game. It's simple, it's fun, and it's still competitive on the other end of it too. So,
and if you listeners haven't had a chance, you have to check out where Britzza and I played Hearthstone against each other at the same time playing StarCraft against each other. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That would be fantastic. I kind of want to do it.
I think we might. I think that we agree we were going to do perhaps like a team versus bots.
Yeah, we were talking last time after recording this that Britzza and I would play StarCraft versus Big Voodoo because he is like the best StarCraft player I know.
I think we're going to lose, Tarley.
I think we would too, but it would be interesting to try.
I don't know if I can take out. Yeah, maybe.
You almost took out 3 of us at once. So
how would we play? So we couldn't play Hearthstone.
Oh no! This would just be StarCraft. Adding Hearthstone in the mix would be way too confusing.
I mean, I realise it's a complete tangent, but I think what we need to do is all 3 of us play reasonably hard bots, but also play Diablo Adventure mode, and try and run both of those at exactly the same time, because I think that's going to get really messy very quickly.
I agree. I think it would get very messy.
Going back to Hearthstone.
I think it could be done.
Yeah, back to Hearthstone. Yes, cool. Old God expansion would be very cool.
Do you think the Hearthstone... do you think the developers can keep up the pace of the expansions? Because obviously there's a lot of content that they can delve into. And like you said, Big Video, the great thing about Hearthstone is that it's not so much the laws there, but in terms of adding content to the game, it's incredibly simple because you're not really changing much of the mechanics. You're just kind of giving the cards different themes and feels. So do you think that they can keep going at this pace, or do you think they'll start to slow down because obviously they've got to fit all these expansion announcements in with their other games, and we've obviously got a lot more games going into the Blizzard sort of portfolio.
I think honestly that's kind of the beauty of having Hearthstone be such a small game and such a large game at the same time. Like, when you hear an announcement of a Hearthstone set, you're like, oh, that's really cool. I'll have to check that out. But it's not like, oh my god, there's this new game coming out, like Overwatch is, or, even Legion beta, or Legion, or if, they announce a StarCraft expansion, anything like that. That's a big, milestone, whereas Hearthstone is, you're going to be getting less content than anything else would provide, but it's always something you're looking forward to. So I don't think they have to invest quite the amount of time and energy as they do with other games, but I think that also allows them to keep up this, pretty rapid pace, which makes sense for, most trading card games release in about that timetable, too, like Magic. Its expansions, 2, 3, 4, maybe a year, which is right along what Hearthstone's doing, so.
Okay.
Alright, anything else on Hearthstone before we jump topic?
I hope it's this expansion. I mean, what do you think the expansion would be otherwise? Let's put end on that.
Trolls.
It could be trolls.
Okay.
That's the other great thing about Hearthstone. What can the expansion be? Anything. I mean, we already had one that was just like, let's put a bunch of mechs in there and we'll call it Gnomes and Goblins. Then we'll put this card that was really good in there.
It was actually Goblins and Gnomes.
Whatever.
Same thing. The Revenge of Mecha Hogger or something like that.
Mecha.
Mecha Hogger. You know it's going to happen. It's like Dragon Ball Z logic. You know, you get defeated twice and then you become an android and you come back a third time. But I'd like to see a Dragon Aspects one, like an actual War of the Aspects.
That'd be cool.
Expansion.
That would be cool too.
You have to kind of, because the cool thing is that with Magic, obviously I'm going to get it completely wrong, but obviously the different themes. I'm going to be really blunt and stupid with Magic, but the different colours, is it different mana themes or how do you categorize them?
Magic basically breaks down. There's 5 colors. Each color has kind of its own theme. Like blue is control, red is like burn, fire damage, that sort of stuff. Green, growth, big creatures, so on and so forth. And then its expansions release in 3 separate sets that they'll call a block, and then 1 yearly set, which is just kind of the core cards. But the blocks are all themed together. So, you know, you might have one that's like, we're going to make a dragon theme. So you'll have 3 sets in a row that all kind of have this dragon theme as it's evolving throughout, you know, Magic's storyline for it.
That's what I want to see then, like the same with the Dragon Aspects, because effectively the colours are the same, it seems. So you could kind of bring that in, you could have it so that your decks theme around particular aspects, which could be cool, or multiple aspects. So that's what I'd like to see, at least, if it's not this.
All right. So we have one more rumor to cover for you, and that is the rumor.
These aren't facts. These are special exclusive announcements, Tarley.
Okay. The rumor going around is that Chris Metzen is secretly a warlock.
That's no secret.
I kid. There's a rumor, though, that the next World of Warcraft expansion will be announced at BlizzCon 2016. And that would put that announcement on the heels of Legion's release. What do we make of this? I mean, could it be possible that Blizzard would announce this at BlizzCon? I think yes. I think it's actually a very credible rumor and likely rumor.
I see it 50-50. So the upside to this would be they would be sticking with their yearly schedule, which we were all kind of fairly large fans of walking into Legion because, well, we don't want to get stuck in, you know, stale content forever. But the other side of it, like, I don't know. It feels like it would spoil the story of Legion. Like, here's Legion, and you guys get to play it for a couple days, and then we're going to tell you what the next expansion is, so you kind of know what happens at the end of this one already, which feels kind of bad, I guess.
Well, I mean, if we look at Warlords of Draenor, I mean, it's definitely not a great example, but we can kind of see that Blizzard was trying the model out, and they failed, where they have just 2 raid tiers per expansion. Obviously, with Legion being so far behind the pacing, it didn't work out with how they released the content in Warlords of Draenor. But even so, Warlords of Draenor is going to be already the shortest expansion cycle we've had so far, with Legion coming out this summer. So with that moving forward, if they go at the pacing, maybe spread it out a little bit further in Legion with patch cycles, it could very well work that an expansion could come out summer of 2017.
Yeah.
Without a big gap that we have right now since 6.2 came out.
It would make sense to slowly speed up the cycles that way. My only thought is that they could possibly announce what the general theme is, but my only problem with that is that, for example, all people would have had time, as you said, Big Voodoo, the only thing we'd have a chance to have got up to is wherever the main chunk of content ends, i.e. before the first patch and the following patch after that. So if you take Pandaria, for example, where you were at the end of that story before Thunder King dropped, it would never have given you an idea that we would have gone into Orgrimmar and taken down Garrosh. So it would kind of spoil, I think, the next 2 expansions. Say, by the way, we're working on this, and here's a picture of the old god that appeared out the portal, but you guys haven't seen that yet. So it could be. I'm trying to think what they could tell you basically without spoiling it.
That would definitely be the issue.
No, I agree with that. Yeah,
Because, but you're right. In that. Sorry.
Even with Warlords being like the short 2-tier raid, like if you got through, say, the very first raid, and then they announced Legion, you'd be like, "The hell is this?" And then they'd release the second tier, and you're like, "Yeah, I already saw this coming. You pretty much told me about it already."
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So,
but then, go on. Sorry.
What if they just announced a title?
It depends on the title. Like, World of Warcraft, Whispers of the Old Gods would kind of give away that expansion.
Very true.
But, or even Legion, like, it'd have to be something super generic. And I don't feel like they're going to do that because Blizzard's never had a generic WoW title.
World of Warcraft Return of Dark Things. Could get away with it. But at the same time, you've got a point, Tarley, in that they got to announce something at BlizzCon.
I mean, obviously, I'm thinking right away we'll get... I mean, it's really weird to be speculating about BlizzCon and it's only March, but... You know, we'll probably see a lot about Overwatch, a ton about Overwatch, you know, new maps and new heroes probably being announced then. But, yeah, what else could they announce? New mission packs for StarCraft?
New maps and heroes for heroes. I think the beauty of Blizzard actually having more supported titles now is they don't have to make as many big announcements.
That's very true.
Because they've got so many little ones that they can sparkle in the feel big, kind of. Like, if you're really into heroes, announcing a new map or two, and then some new heroes to go along with that, it's huge for you. If you're way into StarCraft mission packs, the WCS being there, huge for you. If you're way into Hearthstone, a new card pack, you know, like, there's all these small things.
So basically, a WoW expansion is not needed to be announced. They don't need a big announcement, is what you're getting at.
I'd say that they need one big announcement, but it doesn't necessarily need to be WoW. Okay. I mean, it could be anything from an entirely new title to, you know,
Diablo 4.
Big, Diablo 4, a big DLC for any of their games.
And saying that, you know, there's nothing stopping them really from announcing the next patch title. I mean, they could say, listen, you've got this far in the last, you know, 4 to 6 months since release of Legion. Let's have a look at the next chapter. You know, it's the next patch where you have to go and help Jaina do whatever she's doing, or maybe she's gone a bit nuts, who knows. And, you know, you see that, and you see that sort of initial trailer. And then they'll talk about all the new artifact weapons coming, and, you know, skins for that, and you know, that could be their big announcement. That's probably just as big for them as anything else.
New skins for your artifact weapon, $15 each on the Blizzard store.
You know what I'd honestly like to see them do for the announcement for the next WoW expansion? Bury it in, like, the closing cinematic for the last raid tier. So, like, if you go back to, like, Wrath, when the Lich King was first beat, there was that monument in the middle of Dalaran that they put up, that you could watch that cinematic. Do that, and then at the very end of it be like, bam, expansion, this is what we're working on, guys. That way you have the story, and then you hear about the expansion right away, too.
And while doing that, Blizzard could continue working towards that yearly cycle still, without actually spoiling it with an announcement. And then, if they did it that way, actually, then the next expansion could be months away instead of a year away. They've been announcing them lately.
And the cool thing about that, actually, as a way to tell the expansion, is it would get a lot of people watching the Race to World first, because you know at the end of it, you're going to see the expansion
Blizzard
announced.
Take our ideas, they are brilliant.
So that would actually be kind of cool. And it might be something like I would consider staying up till 4 a.m. before work to watch. So Blizzard, do that.
we have just solved the problem with competitive rating. This entire podcast has come full circle now, from the first thing we talked about now to the end. So
what you need to do, Blizzard, is get that nice juicy carrot and attach it to the raiding stick.
So hopefully we have today just saved World of Warcraft entirely, possibly, with our ideas. So Blizzard, please take note of them. We had a discussion topic that we were going to discuss, but we are running out of time today. We are running late, obviously starting the show, which means we are going to be closing it late, or closing it early. So anything else you guys want to touch on here before we wrap up? We've got about four minutes for a closing statement.
Zool is amazing. Both our counterpart on the show that I've never met, and the hero and Heroes of the Storm, and IEM was fantastic. The StarCraft there was great. Heroes is still going on. It's great. I would check it out.
We've lost the webcam from Britzza. Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm not lost in there.
No, I hear you.
Oh, excellent. No, I've got anything to say other than the fact, because I'm now free.
How much were you before?
I was a premium. I don't know, about 10 gold on Heroes, which is a lot, isn't it? Because I'm now free, I'm going to be doing a bit more streaming and trying to sort of nail things down for that and get a semi-regular schedule going. So I'm going to be not only with these guys, but also potentially reaching out to people who listen to the show who might want to join in. So stay tuned for that, and I'll probably have all the details next week.
Sounds good. Well, with that, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. As always, it's always great to have you. You can always find us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. You can follow us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. You can find me personally at Tarley_pause. And you can find our long-lost compadre, Zool. He is at ZoolGeek. Britzza, where can we find you?
We love you, Zool. You can find me at Britzza_EG.
And Big Voodoo, let's hear it.
That's B1GV00D00. I know you missed it for 2 weeks.
Alright, and you can contact the show with messages? Those are things, questions, and shoutouts, or just hate for the leet speak. You can send all of that to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. And remember to check out www.epicgeeks.co.uk for all the content we create. Otherwise, we'll see you same time, same place. Actually, probably earlier, but same place next week. Everyone have a great week in Azeroth.
This podcast is part of the Epic Geeks Network. To find out more about our other gaming podcasts, head to epicgeeks.co.uk.